Hello, and welcome again to my Infinity Now channel. And thank you for watching. I hope I hope this finds everyone well, as always. So I wanted to do a video, and I've actually been working on this information for quite a while, um, as far as what happens exactly when we enter the afterlife. What exactly happens when we die. So it's really interesting. So because there's a lot of different ideas out there. But the truth is, there is a process that we all go through, and it definitely can be explained. And I would really try to put that together to understand. And it's pretty complex. It's simple, but there's a lot of details, I guess, which makes sense. So I'm going to kind of break it up into various videos or various stages. But it's important to note that we all go through the same experience, meaning we as humans, and there's a different process for animals and inanimate life, and things like that, and how things are preserved, that sort of thing. Speaking of which, everything is preserved 100%, and I mean completely holistically. Everything at all times is being monitored and saved for reasons of preservation, but also so we can carry over completely in a seamless manner, that sort of thing. And everybody carries over the same in that it is immediate. There's literally no wait time. As soon as the physical vessel for humans is expired, and that's guaranteed, then the soul is transported immediately, literally into a body of the identical age waiting for it in the afterlife. And this takes place within the span of like a second, merely like a second or less. It is that quick. As soon as the body is literally, shut down and, definitely not coming back, the soul is teleported into a healthy body of the same age. The chronological timeline of evolution is respected and allowed to continue. But we show up healthy and free of any health issues or anything we had, and then continue. It's different for different stages of human life. So I'm starting with this video as far as the unborn, for example, or abortions. And I think it's a great question too. Like, what happens, with that form of life at that stage of life? So again, everything is preserved, and 100%. So at the very moment of conception, when that process begins, whether it's terminated like by an abortion or naturally, for example, it is immediately carried over and allowed to evolve in the most healthy, perfect manner, period. So that being said, and then of course, there's unborn children, and then there's children that were born, and then there's adults, and of course the elderly. So there's different stages for that, but everyone is their soul, their non-physical being aspect of self, is immediately teleported. And even when they're that young, they do have a non-physical aspect that begins that early in life. It's very limited, of course, their experience and knowledge, of course, but the minute that is created, then things begin to, there's all sorts of stimuli around that's being absorbed as experience, and memories, begin to form and things like that. So all this is tracked and carried over completely from one realm to the next. So it's important to point out the word teleport instead of transport. So this is interesting because, and I was talking to both my spiritual guides and a lot of people that came from Earth too, to try and get the same answer. But The reason that's done is because, and the afterlife begins, far, far away in the where there's absolutely nothing in outer space. Where there's no life and there's nothing to interfere, that sort of thing, where these sorts of places can thrive without overlapping with physical civilization, like here on Earth. Nothing exists here on Earth, anything like that. It is left completely alone for life here to live and do its own thing, basically. So it is taken to a part of the universe where there's nothing, absolute, pure, just space and nothing else. That eternal void of space that goes in every direction. So teleport, the reason it's done and it's removed like that is so it's not carried through this area. In other words, so as souls die, for example, they're not taken and passed through homes or through hospital walls and things like that. So they're literally immediately removed and show up within a second, less than a second, in their new location in an identical copy of their physical vessel here, whatever age that it was at. And then things are allowed to unfold. So in the case of the unborn, of course, they have to go through the whole process of being developed and that sort of thing. Nothing is sped up. Everything is allowed to, the physical rules of evolution for each species, in this case we're talking about humans only, is allowed to unfold chronologically, just like it would on Earth. So, and there's a very specific process for this, and I wanted to make sure I get the details. So when this happens, so every single soul, believe it or not, is waiting to be received. Since everything is preserved here 100% of the time, at all times, the minute life begins, they're aware of it in the afterlife. And at any point, should that life terminate, they're waiting to receive it. And again, since they have perfect knowledge and copies of everything and an understanding and awareness of everything that is occurring down here, that's how they're able to have a waiting body at the proper age range. So the minute you're terminated, this is known, and the soul is moved into a vessel of the exact same age. In this case, so it goes through a process. They're immediately teleported into a reception, like an incubation chamber that is spherical in nature. So every child that still has to go through this process, they get their own, it's in a room, so they're immediately taken to a room where they're allowed to develop. And they all go through the exact same identical process. And again, each person has one of these places for them, period. Waiting, just in case they terminate. And if it's not needed, then it's not needed whenever, if we die at a later age, for example. So each room is unique. No individual soul on human soul on Earth uses the same room again. So everybody gets a brand new room and a brand new, in this case, unborn life chamber. And there's two individuals waiting. It's a room that has nothing in it except this chamber. It's spherical and see-through, so they can monitor everything and see what's going on. But to mimic the dark environment that a child is typically in before they're born, it is one way. I think that's a proper word. So you can see in, but once they're able to, use their eyes and that sort of thing, they can't see out. So it's meant to mimic that environment until they're born. Nothing intrusive is used in this process, like tubes or anything like that. It is pure energy that sustains each individual life and allows it to develop perfectly healthy along a natural timeline until they're ready to be removed at about 9 months, just like it is here on Earth. Once that is done, so the sphere apparently sits on like a machine, and this energy, it's monitored and it gives 100% of what this individual life needs to be 100% healthy at all times. There is no pain. That's important to point out. So these sorts of things, like in the afterlife, Remember, infinity means all things are possible, and therefore the concept of perfect health and eternal age and no pain and pure joy and happiness and peace and calm can all be realized, and infinitely so. So as these individual children develop, they are at peace. There is no pain that might have been part of the physical process here on earth, or anything like that. It's completely peaceful. They are given in a form of pure energy everything they need to be completely nourished and developed. So, and again, say it's like 2 or 3 months in the process, and the child down here developed some sort of like medical condition, and they die, unfortunately. Just know that it's the same process, and it's equal, and it's fair, and it's perfect for everyone. And so once this child is taken to the afterlife, immediately are in a state of pure, just calm and peace and nothing but good, including health as well. So, and this sphere that helps incubate this life, it sits on a machine, and this machine is monitored, and to make sure that that they have everything that, and it's a perfect process. There's no flaws. This sort of thing again is done to in respect to like Earth culture, for example. So because it is the afterlife and all things are possible, so you might imagine. Because I was wondering the same thing too, like why a machine or why a room or anything like that. So because of our certain level of technology, and that sort of thing, these sorts of things are used as well, but in a perfect manner, in order to help develop this life. So that's why it's done, and it could have just as, easily been, I guess, what I'm trying to say is like a ball of, energy. That's it. But it has to be contained somewhere, and they do this relative to what we understand Earth culture. For example, incubation chambers, chronological evolution, rooms, things that we could relate to and understand from where we come from. So that's one reason that it's done that way, or done this way. So each life, again, gets its own room. So if they're twins, for example, each child would be put in their own room. Now, as soon as they show up, there's already, believe it or not, there's 2 people waiting per room, 2 unique individuals, both human, 1 male and 1 female. And it's done this way to be fair, and it's done this way to be objective as possible, again, for the same reasons, something we can relate to on Earth. So 1 gender each. Each child gets 2 of these individuals or spiritual beings, whatever you'd like to call them, 1 of each gender, in their room the minute they're teleported into it. No child gets like these 2 individuals are focused on that 1 soul, and that's it. And once they're done, they don't go to the next new waiting room for another soul. Everybody gets 2 unique, brand new individuals, and they are like spiritual beings in every sense of the word, like infinite knowledge, infinite. They can be equated to like doctors, and they do wear white clothes and uniforms, from what I understand. But they do look human, so they're not like angels, for example, or anything spiritual in that manner. It's meant, again, to reflect what we're comfortable and familiar with. And these 2, they are born, or they are created rather, as infinite spiritual beings. You can equate them to, say, like an angel. That'd be a good archetype or analogy for that sort of thing. So purely infinite, made of pure infinite knowledge and patience and peace and calm and love and everything you can imagine that would be necessary for an individual to have a role, like that. So another thing I found curious was, and again, this is to be objective and fair for each life that crosses over, these 2 individuals that are awaiting each soul are of the same racial makeup. Again, they have all the information for each of us. So they're not like pure light beings of pure energy. They look human. But since our entire being is being preserved and has to be mapped from one realm to the next when we die, they have all our information before we die, at all stages of life. So they know exactly what your gender is and what your racial makeup. And these two individuals are of the identical racial makeup that you are. So, there's a sense of familiarity and equality. And to be fair again, that's two individuals per room. And again, this is just for the unborn for the moment. This process actually applies to all human life. Those will be separate videos too. And it's interesting. And again, where we come from is respected and reflected as much as possible. Like if you come from a certain culture that wears certain things, or come from a certain religion, and you're an adult, say when you die, then what you're wearing will reflect that. So, so it's interesting. So it varies per culture, but again, everybody has the same two. You can call them doctors or angels. They don't have wings or anything. Look just like humans. Two individuals awaiting us to greet and welcome us and acclimate us to the afterlife when we pass over. So, again, that's more for adults, and that'll be a whole another video. Okay, so far, sorry, just going through my notes here, and okay, I think that's just, I think I've covered just about everything. Another interesting thing is once a child is fully developed, they are taken from these chambers and given to both sides of the family to be raised. So the parents, each parent's half, so the mother's half and the father's half, and both of them are given to the families to raise once they are ready to be removed. By the way, people can visit, and immediately when a life like this enters, the family is notified and immediately available. They can visit and monitor these sorts of things, and visit this room anytime they want to until this process is complete. And then once the child is removed and they're completely healthy, after about 9 months, both sides of the family, it is given to raise them. And I think that's really great, and it makes so much sense too. It's important to note too, because I was talking with again my spiritual guides about this process, and I had asked, well, let's say one of the parents died, for example, or someone in the family is just not a good person. Let's say so. If like one of the parents actually murdered, let's say the father murdered the mother while she was pregnant, and then the father died as well somehow. So in the afterlife, they all show up again. And well, this is an important distinction to make, though, because if the mother dies with the child, she is still pregnant, and that process is allowed to unfold naturally as well. So it's not removed and put in an incubation chamber. If the mother dies with the child still in her, they show up again, both perfect and healthy, and you wake up in a state of infinite peace and love and calm and that sort of thing, and joy, and then zero pain and zero discomfort, and then she is allowed to, that process is allowed to unfold naturally. But let's say for whatever reason, whether the child was, passed away separately, or even if the mother passes away still pregnant, for example. The point is, if one of the parents happens to die as well, and a crime was committed or something like that, or even like if one of their great-great-grandparents was like, a serial killer or something horrible like that, they're not allowed to be part of that raising process. They basically lose the right to be part of that collective. Even though, once they cross over, well, that's a whole other video too, but basically, it's not given to them. I think it's a good question because sometimes those unfortunate circumstances do occur down here, and that is accounted for 100% in the child's best interest when they do enter into the afterlife. So I think that's good to point out. Another thing about these rooms too, to kind of bring everything to a close. So once the individual child is removed from these rooms and then given to the family, they're not removed or destroyed or deleted or anything like that. They're left just empty and as they were, because it's a point in that person's life and an experience and a memory and everything like that. So they're not deleted or erased or removed. They're kept, immediately moved to another location once they're used, and done with, and then a brand new room with two new people, two spiritual beings or doctors or medical staff, if you will, and the family waiting to greet them and all sorts of things like that. The room is placed back and ready for the next child, should they pass over, of course, when they're still have yet to be born. And again, remember in infinity, so to kind of conceptualize this, everything can happen like that immediately. Infinite time means infinite speed, accuracy, infinite everything that you can conceptualize that is good in every sense of the word. So infinite communication at the speed of like infinity goes out the minute a child like this would cross over. People are notified, and of course, instantaneous, immediate travel can show up from wherever they're at. So remember, infinity means all things are possible. No limits, no bounds. So when you think about this sort of thing, immediate communication and immediate teleportation and pure healing and pure infinite joy and peace and calm and health, and that sort of thing. These sorts of things can be defined and are absolutely real. So just picture the most perfect and, again, painless and best process imaginable. So I think that's great to know and wonderful to share. So no matter what happens, all life is preserved, 100%. And all life is respected and it's sacred, and these sorts of things are taken very seriously. And infinite possibility is applied to these sorts of things in the most perfect manner imaginable. Not one soul is lost. Not one soul goes through a different process. Every single one shows up unborn life in one of these chambers. And just imagine it to be the best, perfect process imaginable, because that's exactly what it is. So I think that's really great to share, because I know too, because I've often wondered for years about just the whole process of dying and that sort of thing. So it's nice to have an exact, detailed understanding of exactly what occurs. I've read a lot of books and seen a lot of videos, and I've been to a lot of seminars, believe it or not, and a lot of things to kind of try and learn stuff over the years. And I've noticed a lot of them point to the same idea. As far as transitioning, we're in a new dimension, or there's no pain in the afterlife. All true, all very true. Or some people even say, it's beyond our understanding to comprehend what happens when we die. But it's definitely within our realm of understanding. So it's an experience, and we have an experience here, and we can see and hear and feel and know and that sort of thing. And therefore, we can conceptualize and understand what happens. So I've always wondered what the process is, and what the exact specific detailed breakdown is of that sort of thing. And this is basically it. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out. I'm reading my notes right here. Actually, I took quite a bit of notes. I've been working on this for a long time and was kind of excited to share it. So, and I believe I covered everything. So I really hope you found this informative, and even found maybe some measure of peace of mind about about this sort of thing. And just know that it is absolutely true. And the afterlife, again, is real and perfect. And that's quite simply put, but a great way to put it. So, and I'll be doing more videos on the different age ranges and the differences with that pets, for example, or even like animals and different forms of life, what they go through. So again, there's a very detailed experience that we all go through. And I'm seeking to put this together and put it out there, and for a greater sense of understanding and that sort of thing. So thank you so much for watching again. And if you like it, definitely please like the video. I'm going to plan on doing more of this, or if you have ideas for different videos, definitely open to it. Please let me know in the comments, or feel free to email me. And if you like the video, please subscribe. So I just started a few months ago, and I have so much stuff I just can't wait to put out, and love, dialogue and discourse and learning and sharing and that sort of thing. So I definitely welcome that. Again, thank you for watching, and please take care as always. And thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.